Welcome to Group Neutrality's major Internet public policy issues presentation. Our team members are Dan Rosenblum, Gabriela Burrito, Andrew Chen, and Julian Gonzalez. When we talk about Internet public policy, we mean four major issues: privacy, intellectual property rights, governance, and public safety and welfare. The way the Internet has infiltrated our lives has given people reason to raise pervasive ethical, social, and political issues that have been at the root of our society in the past 10 to 20 years. The Internet affects the economy in 8 specific ways. Ubiquity, available anywhere. Global reach means that it reaches across boundaries around the earth. Universal standards, there is just only one set of technology standards. Richness, the possibility of having video, audio, and text. Interactivity, it works through interaction with the users. Information density, it reduces information costs and raises quality. Personalization, customization, it allows personalized messages to be delivered to individuals as well as groups. Social technology enables user content generation and social networking. Privacy issues. Privacy is the right of individuals to be left alone, free from surveillance or interference from other individuals or organizations, including the state. The right to information privacy includes the claim that certain information should not be collected at all by governments or business firms, and that individuals are to control the use of whatever information that is collected about them. When it comes to individual privacy, there are two kinds of threats to it. Private sector, how much personal information is collected by commercial websites and how will it be used. The public sector, how much personal information federal, state, and local government authorities collect and how do they use it. When consumers visit a site and/or make a purchase, some information is collected. Personally identifiable information can be used to identify, locate, or contact individuals. Anonymous information is mostly demographic and behavior, like age, occupation, income, etc. The Internet's major information gathering tools are many. Lately, the ones that have had the most impact on privacy are social networks, which provide information of the individual's interests, advertising networks, which track individuals as they move along thousands of websites, and cookies, which track individuals at a single site. This list encompasses other important ones. Profiling is the creation of digital images that characterize online individual and group behavior. The two different types of profiles are anonymous profiles, which identify people as belonging to highly specific and targeted groups, and personal profiles, which are called this because they add specific information pertaining to the individual, such as email address, postal address, phone numbers, etc., to behavioral data. Today, the e-commerce behavior, profiles, and transactions of consumers are routinely available to a wide range of government agencies and law enforcement authorities. The Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act, the U.S. Patriot Act, the Cybersecurity Enhancement Act, and the Homeland Security Act all strengthen the ability of law enforcement agencies to monitor Internet users without their knowledge. However, all other organizations use informed consent. Opting in is an affirmative action by the consumer to allow collection and use of information, whereas opting out is the default to collect information unless the consumer takes an affirmative action to prevent the collection and use of information. The Federal Trade Commission is the leader in conducting research and recommending legislation to Congress. Its Fair Information Practice principles set the ground rules for what constitutes due process privacy protection procedures at e-commerce and all the other websites. Notice awareness must disclose information practices before collecting data. Choice consent, there must be a system to allow consumers to choose how their information will be used for secondary purposes other than the transaction. Access participation, consumers should be able to review and contest the accuracy and completeness of data collected about them. Security, Assure that consumer information is accurate and secure from unauthorized use. Enforcement must have a mechanism to enforce FIP principles. Some technological protections for online privacy are spyware blockers, which detect and remove spyware and adware; pop-up blockers, which prevents calls to ad servers that push pop under and leave behind ads; secure email, which provides email and document encryption, and other technological protections listed below. Next to privacy, the most controversial ethically, socially, and political issue related to e-commerce is the fate of intellectual property rights. As a general rule, the creator of intellectual property owns it. However, once the intellectual work becomes digital, it becomes difficult to control access, use, distribution, and copying. The major critical issue regarding this matter is how should we treat property that belongs to others. There are three types of intellectual property protection. Copyright law protects original forms of expression. A patent grants the owner a 20-year exclusive monopoly on the ideas behind an invention. Trademarks are marks used to identify and distinguish goods and indicate their source. The goal of intellectual property law is to balance two competing interests, public and private. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1998 is the first major effort to adjust the copyright laws to the Internet age. Its four titles are the WIPO, Copyright and Performances and Phonograms Treaties Implementation; Online Copyright Infringement Liability Limitation; Computer Maintenance Competition Assurance; and Miscellaneous Provisions. Some important trademark terms are cybersquatting, which is registering domain names similar to trademarks of others to export profits from legitimate holders. Cyberpiracy is registering domain names similar to trademarks of others to divert web traffic to their websites. Meta-tagging is using trademark words in a site's meta tags. Keywords is placing trademarked keywords on websites, either visible or invisible. Linking is just that, linking to content pages on other sites. Framing is placing the content of other sites in a frame on the infringer's site. Governance has to do with social control. Governance of e-commerce has evolved over time, from government control in 1970 until 1994, the privatization in 1995 until 1998, to self-regulation since 1995, and governmental regulation since 1998. In the U.S., critical issues in e-commerce center around the protection of children, strong sentiments against pornography in any public media, efforts to control gambling, and the protection of public health through restricting sales of drugs and cigarettes. In an effort to protect children, Communications Decency Act of 1996 made it a felony criminal offense to use any telecommunications device to transmit any comment, request, suggestions, proposal, image, or other communications which is obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, or indecent to anyone, and in particular to children under the age of 18 years. Children's Online Protection Act of 1998 made it a felony criminal offense to communicate for commercial purposes any material harmful to minors. The PROTECT Act of 2003 was a bill intended to prevent child abuse that includes prohibitions against computer-generated child pornography. For the next 5 slides, I'm going to talk about recent related news. Google's new location service. Google has begun offering a new service that allows others to see the location of people based on where their phone is located. This type of service can cause many different kinds of privacy issues to arise. Google has addressed some of the privacy issues and has taken action to help protect your privacy when using this service. Google allows you to control whether the service is turned on or off. There are also different levels of information you can release about your location that offers protection against different levels of threats. Many marketers are looking forward to using this service to be able to run a completely new type of marketing campaign. If you are within 3 blocks of a McDonald's and you received a text saying, "Stop into McDonald's and try this new product," you're only a block away. FTC's Do Not Track plan. The Federal Trade Commission proposed that consumers should have a Do Not Track option for the Internet, similar to the do not call list that exists to block telemarketers. The FTC's plan calls for a universal add-on piece of software that surfers could install on their internet browsers to block websites from collecting information about them. Those in the industry warn that such an overarching policy would put billions of e-commerce and advertising dollars at risk. Though highly targeted ads can spook some consumers, they also serve as the mechanism that make it possible for many websites and applications to be free, including Google's Gmail and Facebook. FCC's net neutrality. Federal Communications Commission Chairman Julius Genachowski proposed that the FCC turn its 4 principles of network openness official into regulation, and he suggested that the FCC add 2 more principles as part of these new rules. The existing principles can be summarized this way. Network operators cannot prevent users from accessing lawful internet content, applications, and services of their choice, nor can they prohibit users from attaching non-harmful devices to the network. Now Genachowski is proposing 2 new principles. The first would prevent internet access providers from discriminating against particular internet content or applications, while allowing for reasonable network management. The second principle would ensure that internet access providers are transparent about the network management practices they implement. First lawsuit targeting history sniffing. 2 California residents filed suit against the owner of adult website YouPorn, alleging it had violated cybercrime and consumer protection laws by using surreptitious technology to harvest information about what websites they had visited. The suit, which a lawyer for the plaintiffs said was filed late Friday in the U.S. District Court of the Central District of California, is one of the first to target a practice called history sniffing, which is drawing increased scrutiny from regulators and academics. The technique generally relies on the fact that internet browsers display web links in different colors based on whether the user has visited the particular link before. By running some code inside a user's web browser, a company can tell whether certain sites have been visited and create a profile of where someone has been online without them knowing. Many other suits and much recent regulatory scrutiny has focused on cookies, small text files that are placed on users' web browsers when they visit internet sites. Companies can use cookies to assemble profiles about users' likely interests for targeting ads. Obama's web tracking plan. Obama is proposing to scale back on banning web tracking. Administration is seeking changes at the request of online search giant Google, as the industry and its influence in Washington have grown rapidly. Some privacy groups mention that there is a contract between Google and an unnamed federal agency that has given this company an exemption from the ban so that the agency could use Google's YouTube video player. Is this fair to other competitors? In conclusion, one thing is clear about public policy in the internet, that it is still being fiercely debated about. The laws governing America are hundreds of years old, and they are still being changed as we speak. The internet was just created. The time for setting the foundation begins now. The first major issue regarded intellectual property. This can be demonstrated by the lawsuits brought about against Napster and Kazaa. Ultimately, the record executives won, and now it is illegal to share music freely. The next hurdle the internet faces is privacy issues, as seen with Google's and Facebook's, among others, growing lawsuits about tracing people's browsing trends. This issue at hand just doesn't affect one industry, but the entire online e-commerce world. It is how the online business makes money. When will this be solved? Who knows? And if it is, what will the internet bring next? This concludes the presentation. Thank you for your time.